Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you didn't know by now, my name is Chef D, and today's a recipe of the week. We are learning how to make a tomato and potato gratin dish. Now, what I love about this recipe is that it takes minimal effort, minimal ingredients, but the results are amazing, tasty, cheesy, smooth, just so decadent, but like in a refreshing, baked kind of cheesy way. So I literally had to share this recipe, especially, because we all love a good, big, nice gratin that we can share with our loved ones. And even if we don't have anyone to share it with, we can definitely meal prep this. All that combination is absolutely gorgeous. I really wanted to share this with you, so I'm putting it online because it is really a hit. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and please don't forget to give your girl a big like, a big share, and a big comment. I love responding to you guys. I love helping you guys out. Any questions, DM me, message me, comment down below. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I will see you next week with a brand new video. For this recipe, we're going to need 1 pound of Yukon Gold or russet potatoes. They need to be peeled, and I used about 6 or 7 small to medium potatoes. I did submerge the potatoes into the water because that does prevent any browning when we're prepping the rest of the ingredients. Like you see, I always like to gather up everything together before I start my recipe. Right here, we are slicing 1 large onion. I'm definitely using red because I love the color, but if you don't have that red onion, you can just definitely use the onion that you have, or my favorite, and that is the Spanish white yellow onion. That goes amazing with this recipe. Next, we are going to be slicing into 1/4 inch rounds 6 medium-sized tomatoes. Now over here, I am using Roma tomatoes, but definitely use a tomato that you have, no worries. Just make sure they aren't that big. They're mostly in the medium size, and this will really depend on how many tomatoes you'll need. Honestly, I just used 6 medium tomatoes, and that worked out perfectly fine. Now for the potatoes, and for this recipe I am definitely using my mandolin because it's just so much easier. But if you are using a mandolin, please keep it at a 1/8 inch of thickness. We don't want the potatoes too thick, and we don't want them too thin. We want them right in the middle and beautifully balanced. Now, if you are using your knife, that's perfectly fine. Just when you're slicing your potatoes, make sure that they are sliced crosswise and into a 1/4 inch thickness of slice. Spray the bottom and sides of your baking dish with a cooking spray and add in your marinara sauce. Spread evenly to coat the bottom of your baking dish. And lastly, what we want to make sure that we do is spread the sauce evenly on all sides. Lastly, we are going to be literally seasoning the sauce with a black pepper, salt, and oregano. Now for the marinara sauce, please keep in mind this can be store-bought or homemade. Just don't stress yourself out. And next, we're going to be adding in our beautiful potatoes like you see in the video. For the potatoes, we want to make sure that we're overlapping in between each slice of potato like you see in the video. And I'm literally just going line by line, making it really, really simple, and just going straight from the water right into that pan. Even though there is water, it doesn't matter because we are going to need that moisture, especially when it's baking. That's why I love the addition to the marinara sauce. So just keep that in mind. Don't worry if you got water in there. It's no big deal. But like you see, just align everything up so we can make our first layer of potatoes. Season your potatoes with a black pepper, paprika, dried oregano, and you could even do a little sprinkling of salt in the top. Once we're done seasoning, we're going to be adding in our layer of onions, and lastly our layer of tomatoes. Like you'll see in the first layer, I am placing my tomatoes only on the borders of the baking dish, and then the second layer is definitely going to have tomatoes all over, so don't worry. I just find that this method is much more better when you're cooking it so the potatoes actually cook in the middle. So let's keep that in mind and let's move on to our second layer. For the second layer, it's pretty much the same thing that we're repeating. We're just layering our potatoes like you see in the video, and then I'm just gonna do a little fast forward for you guys because the next step is pretty much seasoning the potatoes with my favorite condiments for this recipe. And now let's season our potatoes with salt evenly spread out throughout the potatoes, black pepper all over those beautiful potatoes because they all need flavor. We all need flavors to these layers, guys. And lastly, we're going to be adding in our dried oregano. Love that beautiful hint of earthiness for this dish. And lastly, we're adding in our paprika. Now, this can be regular paprika, smoked paprika, or sweet paprika, whatever you have available. I don't want to be complicating your life, so you can definitely use what you have. Let's add in our thinly sliced onions like you see here. One of my favorite parts, and honestly, this just brings such a nice touch to the dish, especially when it's being baked with all those seasonings and all that flavor. It really does make a difference to this recipe. And the last thing that we're going to be adding is our leftover tomatoes, and this is actually going to be the last layer. So there's pretty much only 2 layers, and like you'll see, I'm going to be doing about 4 lines of these tomatoes, and each line is going to have 3 to 4 slices of tomato per line. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I just want to make sure that each element and each ingredient has the component of a flavor and texture that I'm looking for. Now we're going to be doing a little bit more of seasoning because every single layer needs seasoning, and I'm adding in right here that beautiful dried oregano. Now, this is one of my favorite parts, and that is adding in the cheese. We are going to be needing 8 slices of a deli style, either mozzarella, Gouda, or provolone cheese. These are the 3 cheeses that I've done this recipe before, and honestly, they all came out delicious. But my favorite, obviously, is a deli style mozzarella for this recipe, and even if it's smoked, that's even better. Now, we're going to be needing 1 cup of shredded mozzarella or Gruyere cheese, or let's make it even more simple. Just use 1 cup of shredded cheese that you have at home. My trick to adding the shredded cheese is, like you see in the video, I'm filling in the gaps. That's what I'm pretty much doing. Even though I'm putting it all over, I really want to get those gaps that the deli style cheese didn't have. Now we're adding a little bit of more seasoning, and that is the dried oregano like you see here. Then we're going to be adding in my favorite ingredient, and like you know, it's that paprika, especially at the end. If you don't want to add paprika nowhere else, just please add it at the end. This is really going to give it that beautiful, deep red, powerful color that I love. And next, our secret ingredient, and that is a mustard powder. Guys, if you have mustard powder, please use it. It is so good for this recipe. That tartness from that mustard and that cheese goes so well together, and it really does make this dish. Lastly, let's add in our ground black pepper, and if you'd like, this is optional. You can definitely add, you know, a bit of salt on the top like I'm doing here, but this is up to you. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and place the oven rack in the middle of your oven. Now we're adding in the foil paper on top just to have this cooking for the first part of the baking. Like you see, I'm just using regular foil paper. Now we're adding this to our oven for 1 whole hour until the potato is tender and very, very nice that you can literally place a knife in there and it is just amazing. Then once that's done, we're gonna take off that foil paper and we're gonna leave it in that oven for it to get nice and golden and crispy like you see here in the video. And that's gonna take 20 to 25 minutes until we get that beautiful golden red color that we're looking for. And like I said, guys, look at how that paprika and all those flavors come together. That deep burgundy red. The color for me just really, really makes this dish. Not only the flavor, textures, and every single season. Every single time we season, I feel it's like a season of love, I would say. Wow, that's really cliche, but no, really. We're adding layers of seasoning to this, and this is just such a great recipe for everything. For a potluck, for dinner, for meal prep, for a party. And the only thing that you really can't serve it with on the top, I would say, is a little bit of parsley or a little bit of cilantro or even a little bit of chives, you know. But this is just so beautiful and so great, and I'm so happy that I was able to share this recipe with you. And look at those layers, guys. I mean, can we talk about color and tenderness? And look at that beautiful crystal, kind of like a see-through crystal onion. Wow, my imagination here, guys, amazing. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and if you did make it, please don't forget to send me a DM with your picture or just let me know how it goes. I will see you guys next week with a brand new video, and remember to please give this video a big like, a big share, and a big comment because it really does help out the channel. Ciao, guys.